Good morning, everybody. Josh here, Solopreneur Grind, SG Daily. It is Tuesday, March 19th, and I apologize because I missed Monday, but I had a good reason. That being, I was out of town. By the time I got back into town, it was Monday around 1 o'clock. I had a bunch of stuff piled up for work. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to wait till Tuesday. Didn't want to put it out late on Monday, have to rush it. Mind would have been all over the place. So I said, you know what, let's get back to the routine, get it out Tuesday morning, and hopefully no feelings are hurt. Back with my J mug and back in action. If you're watching on YouTube, today we are getting the much needed haircut. So anyways, things are going well. Trucking along, business is good. The new service offering that I've been working on and kind of testing has been playing out pretty well. Have got a few customers lined up. It's broken into its two phases. Phase one is kind of like the intro portion, a little bit cheaper, more intro, kind of helping them determine whether phase two is needed for a heftier price. And so got a handful of phase one signups and one phase two signup already. So that's really good. And more importantly, going through the process, it's so much different than, not different, but the interesting part about actually going through it a few times is you start to pick up on all the nuances. You start to realize kind of, how do I explain this? I mean, in practice is different than when you're planning it, right? Just kind of how like when you're in school and you learn how to do something, or you're studying to become a, insert profession here, and then you get into the real world and you're like, whoa, this is kind of different when you're actually practicing it. So I find it's the same thing when you're creating a new product or service. You have this vision of what you think how it's going to play out, like the customer experience. And it hasn't been too bad, for sure, but you definitely learn a lot pretty quickly, right? You start to see the common questions that come up. You start to see the areas that are easier than you thought might be, or harder, or take longer. Typically, that's one thing I find really important, is to quickly pinpoint the areas that are turning out to take up a little more time or energy than you initially thought they would. Sorry, I'm sipping in between thoughts here. But that's okay. I mean, that's part of the process. This is pretty specific to services, right? I mean, with a product, it will still be the same in the sense that you're going to get customer feedback, questions before they buy, and things like that. So it is similar in that sense. But with the service, I find there's a little bit more to it, because with services, there tends to be a little more customer interaction, a little more back and forth, a little more give and go. The relationship is a little tighter throughout, as opposed to with a product where you sell them something one time and then they might come back with a complaint or a review or something. But other than that, it's fairly hands-off. So anyways, things are going well. And kind of top of mind lately has been client communication, especially via email, and kind of best practices around that. General rules about that. I'm kind of sitting in the shade here. It's a little awkward for the YouTubes, but sun's kind of coming off a building right at me here. Anyways, in service businesses, again, you're going to get a lot of communication with your customer. It's just kind of a little more natural to the industry. Mine specifically, there tends to be a fair amount of interaction, because there's questions leading up to the purchase, and then there's a lot of back and forth during, because while I'm preparing an immigration file for a client, I have questions for them. Then they might have questions for me about those questions before they can fulfill the answers. So that's something that's really top of mind for me this week. I feel like I'll go a little more in depth on it on the next few dailies, perhaps, in terms of how do you manage communication with clients, especially through email. How do you manage their expectations? What are good practices? What have I been doing that's been working? What have I been doing that I think I can improve on? And things like that. So I'm going to keep this one short. We're hitting the 5-minute mark, which is usually what I like to keep it to anyways. I'm still tired from the weekend, but we're back in action. I'll be back here for the rest of the week. And this is the big 2-0, SG Daily 2-0. So big clap on the back for me. And hopefully you guys like the content. If you do, make sure to subscribe so that you get the new ones pop up on your feed. Whether you're listening or watching on YouTube. Like the video if you like it. Don't like it if you don't. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.